I'm John Nixon from Eagle Lake Woodworking. Welcome to part 5 of the video series on how I constructed this arts and crafts style bed. This video is a continuation of how I constructed the legs. In this video, we'll finish up the veneering process to expose the mortises, as well as add the pyramid detail on the top, cut the legs to length, and then mortise to receive the bed rail hardware. Let me show you how it's done. You may be wondering, now that we've veneered over this face of the leg, how do we get access to the through mortises that are inside the leg? Well, it's a three-step process. We drill a simple pilot hole at the drill press, use a flush cut bit at the router table, then it's a little bit of chisel cleanup. It's really easy. Now I can place that pilot hole over a standard 1/2 inch flush cut bit and route out the rest of the mortise. I just need to keep a firm hand on this when I start the router so the piece doesn't catch. It's just a little bit of cleanup work with the chisel, and you've got the mortise squared up. It's real easy. Before cutting the legs to length, I'll run a very slight chamfer down all 4 edges of the leg. The bottom of the legs receives just a square cross cut on the table saw, and I've measured down from the bottom of each mortise 9 1/4 inches and made a mark, and that's where I'll make the cut. After that, we'll move over to the router table and chamfer all 4 edges of the bottom of the leg. Chamfering the 4 edges of the bottom of the leg prevents the leg from splintering if the bed was ever slid across the floor, and it gives it a nice finished look. The top of the leg gets a special detail. It gets almost like the top of a 4-sided pyramid. So I've set the miter fence at a very shallow angle, and I've drawn a line around the leg 1 1/8 inches up from the top of the mortise. And then I'll make each cut, flip the leg, make a second cut, third cut, and fourth cut to shape that pyramid at the top. The last remaining machining operation to do on the bedpost is to make a double step mortise that will accommodate this piece of hardware. There's a complementary piece that goes on the end of the bed rail that locks into this piece that we're making the mortise for. So the mortise has a 5/8 inch outer mortise and then a 1/4 inch inner mortise to leave room for these prongs to go into when the bed rail comes in and locks into that piece. So I've set up a stop block at the end here, and I have a 1/2 inch bit chucked into the router. And before I start the router, I'm going to make a pencil mark on the piece that lines up with a pencil mark that I have on the fence. And then I'll plunge this down and go to the left until my pencil start mark meets this second mark on the fence. And that'll give me the right distance that I want. As far as the width goes, I'll make the first pass as is, and then I'll make the second pass with this 1/8 inch spacer in place, and that'll give me the 5/8 inch mortise that I need. I have a little bit of work to do with the chisel, and the piece should fit right in. With the piece installed, I'll mark the location of these square holes where we need to mortise the second set of holes underneath there to receive those prongs that lock into this piece. What I have in the drill press is a 1/4 inch router bit. I've found that router bits are excellent drill bits, so I've set the depth and I'll make a series of holes, and then I can move it back and forth kind of like I'm routing and clear out that little channel. Well, that does it for this part of the video, but I invite you to check out the all-new Eagle Lake Woodworking to see the rest of the videos in this series and videos on other woodworking topics.